Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano and this is the Bad News Network. In the biggest but most underreported story of the week, a bodyguard for the governor of South Kandahar assassinated multiple governors, a police chief, and attempted to assassinate General Scott Miller, the highest-ranking American general in Afghanistan. Perhaps ironically, the attacks happened in a secure compound where a group of governors were meeting to discuss the security of the upcoming Afghani elections. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attacks, stating that the upcoming parliamentary elections were un-Islamic. When the US press asked about the well-being of General Miller, one of his aides quickly chimed in with, "He's fine. General Miller is the most lethal soldier in Afghanistan." To which General Miller replied, "Shut the f*** up, Carl!" Speaking of Afghanistan, quick quiz. What's the mission and what does victory look like? If you, like me, don't really have an answer to that, let me remind you quickly that wars are best when they are short and brutal and have an objective that is basically in the best interest of mankind. Meanwhile, the Afghanistan war is now 17 years old. Drake's been texting it, and R. Kelly's been hanging out with it for the last 2 years, but he swears nothing's going on. And we still have people fighting and dying in a country where they can't even have a meeting of governors before somebody that is supposed to be trusted in a top-secret environment assassinates a bunch of people. Here's a newsflash. Afghanistan does not share our culture. They will not be westernized. Peace will not come to the region. We are not making progress. We were there to hunt a bad guy and his evil constituents. We did that. We don't owe anyone anything else. People trying to slap there was a huge difference between World War I and World War II because we invested in Germany at the end of World War II are missing the obvious fact that Germany actually had Western values. If Afghanistan is ever going to achieve anything remotely resembling freedom, which is really unlikely given its tribalistic nature, it has to do it on its own. It has to want it on its own. It has to fight for it on its own. There is no war for us to win there. All we have now are American kids that were born before September 11th about to fight a war against Afghani kids that were born before September 11th. We have made this war generational. If there was ever a time to heed Eisenhower's warning about the dangers of a military-industrial complex, now is the time. And really stupid, dumb news this week, Senator Warren got so frustrated with President Trump's constant accusations about her Native American heritage that she had a genetic test done and published the results. The test revealed that she has some genetic markers that show that somewhere between 6 and 10 generations ago, she may have a relative that was Native American. So best case is that her great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother, or her great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother may have been Indian. So she took that tiny bit of information and thought to herself, I am totally gonna whoop Trump with this. And she had no aides that stopped that madness. The Wall Street Journal quickly ran an article that showed that there was a reasonable chance that Senator Warren was 512th Native American. Unfortunately, they had to retract that article only an hour later because the math was done incorrectly. The real math is that there was a good chance she was 1024th Native American. That assertion has set off a meme war unlike anything we've ever seen since the great Trump toad penis meme war of 4 weeks ago. Cultural anthropologists and geneticists were quick to point out, however, that because of the degradation of some proteins over time and across generations, that, oh my God, I don't care! After beating Stormy Daniels in court this week, President Trump referred to her as horseface. To which she quickly replied, "Good one, Tiny. Politics, yo." Officials in Turkey have claimed that they have proof, including a brutal audio recording, that show that Jamal Khashoggi, a permanent resident of the United States and journalist, was murdered inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. The alleged murder was said to have occurred by a 15-person Saudi death squad. Turkey claims to have sent these recordings and proof to the White House, though nothing has yet been released to the public. If true, Khashoggi was savagely beaten, drugged, and then chopped into pieces while still alive. The Turks are currently attempting a full investigation of the murder, but the room in which it allegedly took place has been completely repainted and recarpeted. Additionally, the Turks have not allowed the Saudis to use luminol in their investigation, which allows for a quick finding of any trace blood elements. The evidence the Turks have claimed points to some collaboration with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. If true, this would significantly hamper our relationship with the Saudis that currently have defense contracts in the realm of $100 billion annually with the United States. Some elected officials, including the president, have asked for caution in assessing the veracity of the claims against the Saudis, citing, for example, that the Turks have jailed 160 journalists of their own. They also double pinky swear that they are not in any way influenced by the defense lobby. Hashtag military-industrial complex. But maybe they're right to trust the Saudis. After all, 4 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were not from Saudi Arabia. Furthermore, the congressional panel that investigated any collusion with the Saudi government into September 11th could not directly link any senior officials. In fact, the only thing they were able to say is that there was a possibility that some of the lower level officials could have in fact worked with the hijackers. A Tennessee couple achieved their dream of visiting 6 Disney theme parks on 2 coasts in one day. I feel like you need to dream bigger. John Waddle, 62, of Arizona, fell down a mineshaft this week, shattering both of his replacement knees. After hitting the bottom of the mineshaft and sustaining major injuries, he was met by 3 rattlesnakes that were now living there. He killed those snakes with his bare hands, and they acted as his only sustenance until he was rescued. So there's 2 life lessons here. 1, if you fall down a mineshaft, it really helps to be a tough-as-nails old geezer. 2, stop playing near mine shafts, old guys! In our second squirrel-related story in 2 weeks, a 61-year-old man died this week after eating excessive numbers of squirrel brains and contracting a variant of mad cow disease that we here at BNN now call mad squirrel disease. Stop messing with squirrels, people! They are merely fluffy-tailed rats! In world news, more than 50 people were killed and 200 injured when a train in India in the state of Punjab ran into a crowd. You likely won't see this on the mainstream news very much, however, because they know that atrocities in India are not nearly as exciting as shitposting about Trump and Warren, and they won't make as much money from it. In news, French Prime Minister Macron has stated that if a Brexit deal doesn't come to pass, then British passport holders are going to have to obtain French visas prior to entering. He later claimed it was a faux pas, and they actually would not have to start obtaining visas. The English quickly replied with the folks from Manchester chiming in, "If you ain't a mank, you're a wank!" And now for special sports coverage on the Boston Red Sox, we go to the parking lot live with field sports correspondent Matt Finney.
Thanks, Nick. Field correspondent Matt Finney here, standing right outside in the parking lot. Boston Red Sox are going to the World Series, but not after having to battle it out with the Houston Astros through a nice series to win the AL pennant. Game 1 saw the Houston Astros taking it to us in Fenway Park. We came back and we got the second game and we headed right out to Houston. We got to Houston and laid it down. 1, 2, 3. 3 great wins. Game 4, holy shit. Toe-to-toe, f***ing bats hot for everybody. Andrew Benintendi was the real star of Game 4, laying out, getting that catch with that line drive that my man Alex Bregman threw out to the left field. Holy shit, game winner. Jackie Bradley Jr., his bat was hot. That man is a clutch hitter for the Red Sox. My man Price redeeming himself after getting shit on a little bit for those fair weather fans and those people who hate Boston for no reason. Sox wrapped up Game 5. Once again, Benintendi wrapping it up with a nice catch in the end, celebrating on the road. Now it's on to the World Series. I'm betting we get LA next, but we'll have to see how it pans out. Yankees suck. Back to you, Nick.
Thanks, Matt. Go Sox, go Pats. Tom Brady is the GOAT. And finally, William Clyde Allen's indictment was unsealed today, showing that the 39-year-old Navy veteran has sent Ricin-filled letters to 7 administrative officials. Those officials included Mattis, Admiral Richardson, the director of the CIA, the Air Force Secretary, and the President himself. His friends are shocked by the accusations, but those of us that follow the golden rule are not. Never trust a man with 3 first names. Looking at you, Lee Harvey Oswald. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano, and this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and we will not bow down to any sponsors. Oh look, it's the new performance jacket from Ranger Up.